Good morning, and thank you all for joining us to talk about safety precautions for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you to Acting Fire Commissioner Charles McGarvey, Acting Secretary of Health Dr. Denise Johnson, and Harrisburg Bureau of Fire Chief Brian Enterline for being here and for your commitment to keeping all Pennsylvanians safe. I'm Michael Humphreys, the Acting Insurance Commissioner at the Pennsylvania Insurance Department. Thanksgiving is a time for families and friends to gather and enjoy a home-cooked feast. Unfortunately, Thanksgiving Day also corresponds with a rise in kitchen-based house fires. Cooking fires in residential buildings occur more often on Thanksgiving Day than any other day of the year, and cooking is by far the leading cause of all Thanksgiving Day fires. An average of 2,300 house fires occur nationwide on Thanksgiving, causing fatalities, injuries, and $26 million in property loss. Acting Fire Commissioner McGarvey is going to go into more details on how you can prevent those unfortunate outcomes in a few moments. But in the event of an unfortunate accident, you should know that your homeowners and renters insurance policies will cover certain damages, including things like the structure of your home, your personal belongings, and liability protection against bodily injury to your guests. If you're renting your home, your landlord's homeowner's insurance policy will cover the building, but it does not usually cover your belongings. One of the most common renter's insurance claims is fire, and to cover your belongings, a renter's insurance policy is needed. Renter's insurance is fairly inexpensive. Most policies range from $20 to $30 per month, and you can begin a policy at any time, regardless of when you sign your lease. It's always better to be safe and secure in the knowledge that you are covered, so we urge anyone who is renting to make sure that they have renter's insurance and to call the insurance department if they have any questions about that coverage. Those who are hosting Thanksgiving for families and friends should also be aware of the legal responsibilities that go with holding a gathering in their home, especially if alcohol is served. A good host should consider taking simple steps to ensure that everyone enjoys themselves safely, including by making sure guests are drinking responsibly and ensuring that guests do not drive under the influence. Homeowners and renters insurance might provide some liquor liability coverage, but this coverage usually varies from policy to policy. Finally, as a general reminder, we should all meet with our insurance company or agent about our insurance policies at least once a year. And sooner if we have done anything like updates to the home or had a life change, including getting married or adding a home-based business to our policy. And I'm here to remind you all today that the insurance department is always here to help. If you have questions about homeowners or renters insurance or liability coverage, contact the department's Consumer Services Bureau online at insurance.pa.gov or call us at 1-877-881-6388. Thank you again for coming out, and I'll now turn it over to Acting Secretary Johnson.
Thank you, and hello everyone. I'm Dr. Denise Johnson, Acting Secretary of Health and Physician General, and here to join my colleagues to remind you to be safe this holiday season. As a physician, I want to stress the importance of making sure that you are safe and that your guests are safe as you prepare meals this holiday season. We want to make sure that you are protected against foodborne illnesses. Unfortunately, foodborne illnesses are quite common, but fortunately, there are ways to protect ourselves to make sure that we can prevent them. So, just to remind everyone, foodborne illnesses can affect everyone, but those 5 years and younger, or adults 65 years and older, or people who may have a weakened immune system because of their medical conditions, or if they're having cancer therapies or are pregnant, they can be at higher risk. And so we want to make sure that if you are preparing a holiday meal for yourself or your guests, you want to do everything that you can to prevent those foodborne illnesses. We recommend that you follow the guidelines set up by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, otherwise known as the CDC. And they recommend 4 simple steps to protect yourself and your friends and guests from foodborne illnesses. And they are under the category of clean, separate, cook, and chill. And I'm going to go through what those mean. First of all, clean. You want to make sure that you clean your hands and the utensils that you're using, any cutting boards or surfaces. You want to make sure that you're washing your hands with warm soapy water, and you want to wash them for a good 20 seconds. So you can sing or hum the happy birthday song twice to get 20 seconds in while you wash. You want to wash your hands before, during, and after preparing meals, and you want to make sure that you also wash your hands before you eat. The second one is separate. You want to make sure that you're separating, especially your meats or dairy, from your fresh foods and vegetables. You want to prevent cross-contamination and germs that can spread that way. So you might want to use separate cutting boards for the different items and make sure that you're cleaning them and keeping them separated. Also, when you're putting them in your refrigerator, make sure that you're keeping the food separated as well. The next one is cook, and that may be maybe the most fun part. But when you're cooking, you want to ensure that the food reaches the correct internal temperature to destroy any germs that can make you sick. It's best to use a food thermometer to make sure that you're getting to the right temperature. You want the right temperature to kill the germs, but not too high to cause a fire. The last one I want to talk about is chill. So after you've eaten and enjoyed your food and you've cooked your food, you want to make sure that if you're not eating it immediately, that you preserve it correctly, and that is chill. So if food is left out, especially meats, some cut fruits, some vegetables, if it's left out for more than 2 hours, then bacteria start growing and multiplying, and this can cause foodborne illnesses. So you want to make sure that you refrigerate your food as soon as possible, appropriately, to keep you healthy if you're going to enjoy those leftovers. So want everyone to stay safe and healthy as you prepare your meals, avoid foodborne illnesses, and protect yourself, your family, and your guests. So now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner McGarvey. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today as we discuss a variety of safety concerns heading into the holiday season. My name is Chaz McGarvey, and I'm the Acting State Fire Commissioner for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I want to echo the comments we've already heard and underscore that cooking fires are the undisputed #1 cause of home fires and injuries during this time of year. Unattended cooking is by far the lead contributing factor in cooking fires and fire deaths. Overall, cooking causes nearly half of all reported home fires, and more than 2 of every every 5 home fire injuries. Thanksgiving is a time for family and close friends to come together, and we're here today just to spend a moment encouraging everyone to make fire safety a priority. As you prepare your holiday feast, remember, by following a few simple safety tips, you can enjoy time with your loved ones and keep your family safe from fire. So stay in the kitchen when you're cooking on the stovetop so you can keep an eye on the food. Be careful when wearing loose clothing while cooking on your stovetop. Stay in the home when cooking your turkey and check on it frequently. Keep children away from the stove. The stove will be hot, and kids should stay at least 3 feet away. Make sure kids stay away from hot food and liquids. The steam or splash from vegetables, gravy, or coffee could cause serious burns. Keep knives out of the reach of children. And be sure electrical cords from an electric knife, coffee maker, plate warmer, or mixer are not dangling off the counter within easy reach of children. Keep matches and utility lighters out of the reach of children and store them up high in a locked cabinet. Never leave children alone in the room with a lit candle. Keep the floor clear so you don't trip over kids, toys, pocketbooks, or bags. I also want to take a moment to discuss the dangers of turkey fryers. The first tip is just to avoid using a turkey fryer. Even when used as directed, fryers are unnecessarily hazardous to those around them. If you absolutely must use a turkey fryer, read the owner's manual thoroughly for proper setup and safety tips. Make sure the turkey is completely thawed before frying. Hot oil and ice or water do not mix. Use the correct amount of oil. Overfilled fryers increase the likelihood of spilling oil out of the pot and hitting the burner, causing flames to engulf the entire unit. Never leave the fryer unattended. Many fryers lack thermostats to prevent overheating. Do not deep fry your turkey inside your garage, on your porch or deck, or inside your home. Have an all-purpose fire extinguisher nearby, and never use water to extinguish an oil fire. Keep children and pets away from all cooking surfaces. Use proper hand protection. Lids and handles of the cooking pot get dangerously hot, posing severe burn hazards. Ensure your full attention is dedicated to cooking, and do not consume alcohol while cooking. Fire fatalities are a growing concern in the Commonwealth, and house fires have been persistently common for several years. Modern homes are filled with synthetic materials that accelerate the spread of fire. According to data from the National Fire Protection Association, from the moment an alarm sounds, occupants may have as little as 2 minutes to safely exit their building before flashover. Dead or missing batteries are the most common cause of smoke alarm or carbon monoxide detector malfunctions. When functioning, smoke alarms can decrease the risk of dying in a home fire by as much as half. Install smoke and seal alarms in every sleeping room and outside each separate sleeping area. Install alarms on every level of the home to include the basement. Test all smoke and seal alarms at least once a month and press the button to be sure the alarm is working. Lastly, for many, I know that Thanksgiving is the kickoff of the holiday shopping season. For those of you that are shopping for battery-powered micromobility devices like e-bikes or e-scooters, I want you to know how to safely use, store, and charge them. Data is preliminary, but as of late October, the Fire Department of New York had logged 130 incidents involving micromobility devices for 2022, including an incident where a 5-year-old girl unfortunately died during a fire. So only purchase and use devices, batteries, and charging equipment that are listed by a nationally recognized testing lab and labeled accordingly. Only use the battery and the charger that were designed for and came with the device. Do not keep charging the device or device battery after it is fully charged. Be sure to store e-bikes, e-scooters, and batteries away from exit doors and anything that can get hot or catch fire. If possible, store them outside. Stop using the e-bike or e-scooter if you notice any of these problems with the battery: an unusual odor, change in color, too much heat, change in shape, leaking, smoking, or not keeping a charge. Do not put lithium-ion batteries in the trash. Recycling is always the best option. Take the batteries to a battery recycling location or contact your local waste departments for disposal instructions. Only have the device repairs performed by a qualified professional. Please take all this advice to heart as the holidays come and go. Our office maintains a one-stop online shop with seasoned fire safety tips that we update throughout the year to keep the information timely. The site address is www.osfc.pa.gov/befiresafepa. Thank you again for being here today, and I'll turn it over to my good friend, Harrisburg Bureau Fire Chief Brian Enterline.
Thank you, Commissioner McGarvey. I want to thank Secretary Humphreys and Dr. Johnson for their great words, and I want to echo a couple of comments made by Secretary Humphreys. as it pertains to insurance. It's one of the biggest things that we see here in Harrisburg and central Pennsylvania, especially among those that rent. We see so often a fire occur and the family does not have any renter's insurance. That small policy, a couple of $100s for the year, means the difference between being able to find another place to live and living on the street. And so often here in central Pennsylvania, we see folks being displaced from their homes and their belongings are totally lost in that fire and unable to be replaced because they did not have that so important renter's insurance. To the homeowners, ensure, as the Secretary said, ensure that you're keeping your insurance policy up to date, meeting with your insurance policyholder to ensure that you're covered. Having kids, having additions put on your homes, things like that. Make sure that you're covered so that if and when that fire does strike, you are covered. I think the biggest thing that we see is we believe it won't happen to us. And I can take you to hundreds of folks that were displaced here throughout central Pennsylvania in the last several years, and every one of them would tell you, we didn't think it would happen to us. And I'm here to tell you that it can and it will. When we talk fire safety as we go into the holidays, a couple other things that we want to ensure is the use of multi-unit adapter strips, zip strips as we call them in the industry. The fires that we've seen through those here in Harrisburg alone has not only claimed lives, but countless buildings have been tragically taken from us because of those zip strips being used to power appliances that they're not designed to power. So if you're using a space heater, if you have to rely on that for a heating source, make sure that that space heater is plugged directly into that wall socket. Do not use extension cords, do not use those zip strips. They are so dangerous, and a fire will eventually occur as that zip strip or extension cord breaks down. We're going to show you here in a couple of minutes what it looks like to not fry a turkey. So this is not what you want to do this Thanksgiving. The family would be upset if you come up with what we have. We have heated the oil up as you would do prior to putting the turkey in. Unfortunately, because we were in a rush today, we forgot to thaw the turkey. So think about that. Today is about a week before Thanksgiving. Keeping food safety in mind, as Dr. Johnson has pointed out, if you're going to get that turkey, make sure you get that thing in the refrigerator to thaw out if you're going to fry it. You're going to see exactly what happens when we drop in a turkey that is still frozen into hot oil and why the two don't mix. Keep in mind when you see the fire front that will come off of this, the reason we are preaching not to do this inside your home, not just because of fire, but because of carbon monoxide. And we want to keep it away from the sides of our homes as we look at flammable sidings and other materials that are around our buildings. So without further ado, I'll have our firefighter